Assignment and sublet language is something you're absolutely going to see within an LOI, and it's probably one of the top negotiating points in any deal. You're going to see, especially on the tenant standpoint, when you receive, if you're representing the landlord and you receive an LOI from a prospective tenant, very tenant-friendly language is basically going to state tenant shall have the right to assign this lease or sublet all or any portion of the premises without landlord consent. Hard stop, very tenant friendly, right? Most of deal making is kind of finding this balance and this happy medium between both. You're going to see on, a landlord wanting to protect themselves, kind of cutting this out and just stating that, tenant shall not be able to assign or sublet the lease. And how do we kind of meet in the middle with this? And one thing that I really like is, and completely understand, is language that we just added in from the landlord side to protect them is, we said any assignment or sublease shall not relieve the guarantor of its obligation under the lease, unless, however, the new guarantor or tenant has an equal to or greater net worth than that of the guarantor at the time of lease execution. Any assignment or sublease shall be in the same permitted use category and 100% at landlord's discretion. And, we'll state then this should be further defined in the lease. But I think that is kind of a balance and a happy medium that, tenant would, in theory, have the right to assign or sublet the lease to another tenant if, in fact, that they have, the new tenant, had the same or equal to net worth of that original individual that signed the lease, as well as it's within the same use category. And you just have to think, this landlord spent time and resources, one from, vetting through and making sure that the tenant was the right fit, both from an operator standpoint, as well as they had the financial wherewithal to be a great tenant and open and operate. At the same time, too, the use category, landlords are thinking of co-tenancy and who works well with together and what's going to be best for their center. And you can't just even if a new tenant came in that had greater financial strength, if they were coming in with a new use that just did not make sense for the center, the landlord has to be able to protect themselves and say, look, I get that they're financially stable and they would perform here, but at the same time too, it's not the use that I originally signed on to, and the landlord should have the right to have that final statement there. So I think, once again, it's a great meeting in the middle that the original tenant that signed the lease shall have the right, so long as these other stipulations are met. And at the same time too, a landlord should be understanding that so long as those things are met, they would be able to then assign or sublet the lease to a new tenant. Also, shout out to my wife. Stay curious, stay closing.